Disconnect the Trackpad ribbon cable from the system board. Peel up the cable from the adhesive backing. Raise the keyboard bezel assembly and support the trackpad. Remove 2 retaining screws. Lower the free end of the pad and slide the mounting tabs from the keyboard bezel brackets. Feed the cable through the opening. Feed the trackpad ribbon cable through the opening of the keyboard bezel. Slide the mounting tabs into the keyboard bezel brackets. Install 2 retaining screws. Connect the ribbon cable to the system board. Secure the cable with the adhesive backing. Disconnect the system status LED cable from the system board. Peel up the cable from the adhesive backing. Lift the mylar flap to expose the LED. Carefully pry up the cable from the adhesive backing. Align and place the system status LED into the corresponding window in the keyboard bezel. Press to secure the LED using the adhesive backing. Press to secure the cable to the keyboard bezel assembly using the adhesive backing. Connect the cable to the system board. Disconnect the hard disk drive buttons cable and the system status LED cable. Disconnect the trackpad cable. Proximity sensor cable, touchpoint cable, keyboard cable, camera cable, and system's left speaker cable. Disconnect the LCD cable from the system board. Remove 2 screws securing the metal bracket, covering the 1-link connector. Remove the bracket. Remove 7 black screws securing the system board. Remove the silver screw from the upper left corner of the system board. It is a different size. Raise the left edge of the board and remove the right side from the guideposts and chassis ports. Carefully align and lower the system board port connections into their chassis ports. Lower the rest of the board onto the guideposts. Make sure no cables are pinned or pinched. Install the silver screw to the upper left corner of the system board. Install these 7 black screws. Place the metal bracket over the 1-link connector and secure it with 2 screws. Connect the LCD cable to the system board. Connect the system's left speaker cable, camera cable, keyboard cable, touchpoint cable, proximity sensor cable, trackpad cable. Connect the system status LED cable and the hard disk drive buttons cable to the system board. Follow proper procedures to remove the system board, then turn the board over and place it on a clean electrostatic mat. Disconnect the fan power cable from the system board. Fully loosen the 4 captive screws in ascending order. Screw number 1, 2, 3, and screw number 4. Carefully lift the assembly by the edges, making sure not to get skin oils on the metal. Carefully lower and align the thermal fan assembly screws onto the corresponding mount holes on the system board. Tighten the 4 numbered captive screws in ascending order. Screw number 1, 2, 3, and screw number 4. Connect the fan power cable to the system board. Remove 8 screws along the outer edge of the keyboard. Remove a single screw from the system's right hinge. Use a plastic pry tool and fingers to raise the hinge off its guideposts. Do not use excessive force. Lift the mylar flap to expose and remove both screws securing the frame travel bracket. Remove 2 screws from the system's left hinge. Lift the hinge off its guideposts. Remove 2 screws from the frame travel bracket. Lift the front edge of the keyboard assembly. Gently pull the assembly toward the front of the system. And lift the hinge connections off of their pins. Remove the metal bracket from the 1-link port on the keyboard bezel. Install the metal bracket onto the guideposts of the 1-link port on the keyboard bezel. Align the keyboard to the system. Lay the slide arm receptors onto the pins on both hinges. Lower the keyboard into place. Lift the mylar flap to install 2 screws securing the frame travel bracket. Lower the hinge bracket onto the guideposts. Install a single screw into the system's right hinge. Install both screws securing the frame travel bracket. Lower the hinge bracket onto the guideposts. Install 2 screws into the system's left hinge. Secure the keyboard with 8 screws along the outer edge of the keyboard.